Hello, everyone. Happy to have Jessica Roseberry with us today. Jessica is a former student of mine. She took 2 or 3 of my classes in the MPA program and actually took the same fundraising and grant writing class that you all are taking now. So, Jessica, if you want to start off and tell us a little bit about you and what you do at St. John's Center.
Certainly. I work as a grant writer at St. John Center. I just started in July, so I've only been there 6 months, it's 5 months. And it's basically what I've done so far is I write all of the grants to foundations that they have already written in the past, and then in my free time I'm looking for new sources to establish relationships with and write grant applications to.
For the students that have never heard of St. John Center, tell them what you all do.
St. John Center is a day shelter for homeless men. It's open 365 days a year from 7 to 3. We offer emergency shelter and services such as getting them ID cards, getting them in touch with Veterans Affairs or disability services, and we also run a permanent supported housing program that currently has 51 men in it that we staff with case managers and have money from HUD to keep these men in housing with support so that they can stay in.
And Jessica, part of the reason I wanted you to speak to the students is because you are kind of brand new to the field. This is your first job doing fundraising and grant writing. You've only been in your job 6 months. So first of all, how would you say the work you're doing compares to what you learned in the classroom about fundraising and grant writing?
I would say I got a really good basis from the class, but that in terms of how important it is to state the need and to know the mission and to have a strong mission that's catchy to funders, and how important the emotional component of the writing is. You really need to make an emotional connection with the funder, but it all doesn't really sink in until you actually do it for the first time. And I think what I've learned from doing it is that it's really important to just make a really strong case that you have to think about what the reader is reading and what the reader is going to be caught by and what they're going to have an emotional tie to and what is going to make them say, oh, we've got to give them money, because you just need to make a case that's so strong that they of course want to help you fix this problem.
What would you say have been the biggest, your challenges in starting new in this particular field?
The challenges have been learning the lingo. There's definitely a language of grant writing all its own. Just learning different ways to phrase something and using the appropriate language, and also learning what's a good fit and what's not. You may work a really long time on something and then you don't get anything back, so it's important to know before you even set out if it's going to be a good fit or not. And also making a personal connection on an individual level as the person who's submitting it, talking to the person who's receiving it outside of the application, just creating a relationship.
What are some things you do in preparation for writing a grant?
I would find out as much as I could about the funder or the foundation. I would read their language about how they talk about their mission, and then try and incorporate that and brainstorm and incorporate that into how we can tie our mission into what they do, and using a language that's similar to theirs. I look at who they've already funded. I look to see if we are a good fit also, and I look at their giving history in terms of amounts to see how much we should ask for and how much we can realistically expect.
since this is your first job doing this specific grant writing, what skills or experience do you think you brought to the job that will help you be a good grant writer?
Well, I'm an editor, so my mother was an editor, so I have strong grammar skills and can write a cohesive sentence and have just some pretty strong writing skills, which are very important. And what I'm learning is really useful is the ability to write as if you're someone else, writing from a different perspective. Or, well, I write cover letters for my boss Maria, and I have to write them as if she was writing it, and then she approves it. But so just being able to channel a different energy when you're writing really takes some of the stress and pressure out of it, because you just think of it as like a task. I'm going to pretend I'm going to write like this, and I want this, and so strong writing skills and creative thinking outside the box. Those are good, really important skills for grant writing.
Okay. What advice would you have for students who think they may want a career in grant writing or fundraising?
My advice would take as many classes as you can, and I would say talk to a grant writer that you know, because it can be a very stressful job, very intimidating job, because it's very competitive and you've got to be able to deal with that. I like that. I see it as a challenge. It's a competition. It's something I'm inspired to be good because I want to be the best for my organization. But that's also key. Work for someone that you really care about, because it makes it really easy to write for something that you care about or that is a real problem. It makes the job a lot easier. So nonprofit is kind of a good way to go. And I think that's it. All the advice.
Anything else you want to add for the students?
Andy's a really good connection. You should treat him well. And just listen to what he has to say, because he's good at what he does. And that's it.
Okay. Thanks, Jessica.
You're welcome.
Bye.